So today in our readings, we see what seems like two very different pictures of God. This first reading, God is a warrior, and there's a battle that's going on, and God is helping these guys fight this battle. They get defeated, and then they're going to be victorious because God is on their side. And it's all framed in terms of a fight and who wins and who loses. Okay, that's one image. Then we have this other image in the gospel today of Jesus, who is God, as this tender, compassionate person, God, both, who loves and who heals, who feels sad for this person that's really sick and reaches out to say, yeah, I'll help you be better. So it's kind of confusing sometimes. But I think this might help. So this year at Christmas, I was at my brother's house with his family, all of his kids and grandkids, and all of our whole extended family. So there were lots of cousins there, and nieces and nephews, and so forth. And as we were getting as the ones who were cooking were getting Christmas dinner ready, mostly women, I have to say, sorry. There were a few men in the kitchen. It's not a really big kitchen, so it's kind of crowded. Well, my sister-in-law has a dog, Zia. Zia's not very big. She's a little lap dog. I don't know dogs well enough to tell you exactly what kind, but Zia's pretty small. And Zia, she's not a puppy anymore, but, she's still fairly young. Zia, this is a funny thing about Zia. Zia gets really excited when people come into the house. So excited that she usually goes to the bathroom on the floor. They haven't quite got her trained yet on that one. But anyway, so Zia's running around in this crowded kitchen, and I'm watching this dog thinking, because she's trying to avoid getting stepped on, because all these people are in the kitchen. I'm thinking, what must it look like? What must this kitchen look like from her perspective? I mean, she's only, a half a foot high, not even, She's just barely off the ground and looking up at these giants trying to not get stepped on, but not wanting to leave either. Because that's her territory. That's her kitchen, and all these people are in it. Sometimes perspective matters. That's what I was really struck by, is the perspective of that dog versus the perspective of the kids and the adults even in the kitchen. The same space would look completely different. It's kind of like if you've ever had somebody carry you on your shoulders or even on a piggyback ride, and if they're kind of tall, wow, everything looks kind of different, and you see all sorts of stuff that you didn't see before. You might even see dust that you never saw before, that, your mom and dad might not be too happy that it's even there. Perspective. I think we might kind of be like Zia as we sit before these two readings, that God is so big, and it's really hard for us to get a perspective. How can we have this image of God as this kind of warrior king, this king who's on the side of this army that's fighting this fight and trying to win, and this really tender and compassionate Jesus who's reaching out to say, I want you to be whole, and I want you to be healed. What's common in both of these stories actually is mercy, even though it doesn't look like it in the first story. What God wants is us to know God. The reason Israel, when they tell their own story, they often talk about fights that they're in and how they lose, and then God gets on their side and they win, because they're trying to say, with God, things can be good, and we can be strong. That's what they're always trying to say. And God's desire constantly is for everyone, even Philistines, to be on God's side, because that's where life is. Jumping ahead to this healing of this leper. So this person who's sick and has a skin disease, and people don't want to be around them because they're contagious, and they kind of push them away, and they're lonely and sad. And Jesus says, no, that's not how we should be. And so Jesus speaks to this sick person in this place of sadness and hurt to try to bring healing, bring wholeness, bring him to God. Mercy and light. These are two examples of God's mercy and light. One is really obvious, one not so obvious. And I think part of that challenge is sometimes we're like a small dog in a kitchen full of adults. And it's just hang in there. Our perspectives can change. I think that's the trick. When we look at mercy and we think, well, it doesn't seem like God's mercy is around because some bad things happen sometimes. Well, that's life. And God is still with us, walking through it with us. But that God's desire always is for us to be close to God's heart.